Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Or you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's time for Toker Talk Radio, Hour 2 of the Russ Belville Show here on 420radio.org. Thanks for joining us and coming to you live from Scottsdale, Arizona at Margarita Studios. And it's just hot as hell outside. Hot as hell. And we're going to, but before we get to that, I wanted to play a little music. I'll let Brian kick that off in the background if it's going there. But we were all kind of stunned yesterday by news in the celebrity world of the passing of James Gandolfini, the actor who we first met in the movie True Romance. You remember his spot in True Romance. But of course, everyone will remember him from his iconic role as Tony Soprano in The Sopranos on HBO. Probably one of the best shows that was ever on television. It certainly changed the way TV is presented on cable. Brought us all these great new shows. Yeah, that's Alabama 3 is the name of the group. The song is Woke Up This Morning. It's the theme song of The Sopranos. Thanks for bringing that up, Brian. Take that down a little bit. But yeah, we're all remembering The Sopranos today and, the change that it brought to television. And really, it was one of those shows that was appointment television. And just prior to the whole Netflix thing where you could catch all the shows in on demand. So we watched a lot of those. I just wanted to do something for the memory of that. James Gandolfini passing away of a heart attack at a film festival in Italy at the age of 51. Kind of reminds us how, short and fleeting life can be. And, I don't know what role cannabis played in James Gandolfini's life, if at all. I don't know if he was a cannabis consumer or how he felt on the issue. Maybe we should check marijuanamajority.com. I'm sure they'll have something up on him if he did have something to say. But there we go. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some more about the news of the day. I got to go off on this Michigan thing that I just ranted on a little bit because once again, one of the stupidest things about medical marijuana, all these silly hoops that we make people jump through, all these regulations that they have to stick to, so closely that if they take $1 too much or have one plant too many, they suddenly become criminals. It doesn't make any sense. And I want to talk a little bit more about that.
to San Francisco. That's right, everyone. The High Times Medical Cannabis Cup is returning to the Bay on June 22nd and 23rd. Come to the Craneway Pavilion in Richmond, California for a High Times celebration of the best weed in the world. Meet the top canna businesses of the Golden State. Hear experts discuss indoor and outdoor growing. Find out about cannabis cuisine. Learn about the exciting new world of concentrates. Enjoy a massive medication area reserved for California medical marijuana patients only. And don't forget our swinging Saturday night concert when the stars come out. But as everybody knows, it's all about the cannabis. On Sunday night, we present the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup Awards for Best Sativa, Best Indica, Best Hybrid, Best Concentrate, Best Edibles, and more. Plus, we honor a living legend of the modern cannabis movement, San Francisco's own Dennis Perrone. That's June 22nd and 23rd at the Craneway Pavilion in Richmond, California. Go to medcancup.com for details. Be part of the growing cannabis community.
Life's hard, I need a car and a job and a house and a lawn and a bad broad who cooks and gives back massages. Yeah, I need a lighter and a J to be inspired if I may. I say what up tomorrow if I don't say hi today. You know I'm busy making music if I don't.
Yeah, that's Ground Up with Lady Luck.
Good stuff there, Brian.
Groovin' Thursday Daily Toker tunes there.
Yeah, we're having a nice Groovin' Thursday today. Kind of going to be a 4-day weekend for you, Brian. We don't have shows Friday or Monday.
Well, that's not entirely true. Tomorrow night, Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. I gotta make up for my absence last week. Bad Brian. Bad Brian.
Bad Brian. It was all right. We had a good time, and we'll have a good time tomorrow night with Herb Thrasher Flower Hour, 8 o'clock Pacific time, 2 hours of metal and marijuana, so check that out. Also, Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink tonight will be a replay. We're giving Big Daddy Fink some time off. He's tending to his ma, so we're going to let him tend to his ma and give him that weekend off.
And also last Thursday, we did have that massive power outage, so he wasn't able to play his roller rink at the regular funky time. So,
oh yeah, so we'll go
ahead and get that funk out at its regularly scheduled time.
That's cool. That's cool. And then we got Red Eyes Reggae Flashback replay coming up at 5.
Yep, the show number 33 replay right after Toker Talk Radio, 5 p.m. Pacific here.
Yeah, and I've been doing a lot of uploads lately on the 420 radio site, so trying to put a lot of the archives back together. You'll find some of the old copies of the Roller Rink, the Red Eyes Reggae Flashback, Herb Thrasher, so you can catch up on your past episodes if you like. So check that out.
Yeah, and just a reminder that those are episodes. Most of them are all on YouTube as well, so check those out if you want to catch up on back episodes.
Oh, yeah. I like taking, like, the Big Daddy Funky Roller Rinks. I just make a big song list out of it, you know, the set list that you make in YouTube. You can just play that for hours and hours and hours. Great stuff.
I've had some comments of people on my videos saying that they can just plug on one of my shows and let it play through for the hour. That makes me feel good, you know.
That's really good stuff. All right, I want to get to this story. Big Daddy Fink actually forwarded it to me, and it has nothing to do with marijuana. Every now and then, folks, I will do a story that has nothing to do with marijuana. And I know, crazy. I know.
No marijuana on 420radio.org?
I know. And I usually say it's hour two. But this is my hour two story because it kind of hits home to me. If you don't know, I'm an atheist. I don't mean that in a derogatory or dismissive way toward anybody who believes what they believe. I like science. I don't have a thing for gods or God or anything like that, but I still am a moral and ethical person, and I still respect people who believe the way they believe. I'm cool with that. But as an atheist, it's kind of, in a way, like being a pot smoker sometimes. You get discriminated against. You get, because the general public is religious in one way or another, usually Christian here in America.
And there's these massive stereotypes that surround certain beliefs or non-beliefs or actions.
Right. And then, of course, the stereotype around atheists would be, being godless means you're somehow immoral or somehow, unethical or something.
Yeah.
And could be further true.
Yeah, it's not true.
But I wanted to get to this story because it's up on Huffington Post. The title of it is Margaret Doughty, Atheist, Seeking U.S. Citizenship, Told to Join Church or Be Denied. So our government is telling her she has to join a church if she wants to be a citizen. Let me give you the background on this. She's an atheist, and she's been a permanent U.S. resident for more than 30 years. So she's been here in the country for 30 years. She's trying to apply to become a U.S. citizen, and the immigration authorities told her she has until this Friday to join a church that forbids violence, or her application will be rejected. And what this relates to is when people are becoming a citizen, they have, there's a pledge that they have to take that they would bear arms in defense of the nation. Right? That if you become a citizen, that you're going to protect the nation and you would bear arms to protect America, right? Well, she says that she's morally opposed to war. She says all her life she's been a conscientious objector, and she opposes war. And she actually, this was her statement. She said, quote, "I am sure the law would never require a 64-year-old woman like myself to bear arms. But if I am required to answer the question, I cannot lie. I must be honest. The truth is that I would not be willing to bear arms. Since my youth, I have had a firm, fixed, and sincere objection to participation in war in any form or in the bearing of arms. I deeply and sincerely believe that it is not moral or ethical to take another person's life, and my lifelong spiritual religious beliefs impose on me a duty of conscience not to contribute to warfare by taking up arms. My beliefs are as strong and deeply held as those who possess traditional religious beliefs and who believe in God. I want to make clear, however, that I am willing to perform work of national importance under civilian direction or to perform non-combative service in the armed forces of the United States if and when required by law to do so." So she's saying, I'm a conscientious objector. I would never pick up a weapon. I'd never kill anyone. This is a strongly held belief of mine. But the Citizenship Service is saying that you have to prove you are a conscientious objector by being a member of one of the religions that have, for a long time in America, been recognized as conscientious objectors, going all the way back to like Vietnam and stuff, even World War II, where religions like the Quakers, for example, or the Seventh-day Adventists would refuse to take up arms. They've been protected from things like the draft and the selective service registration and all that. But not in this case. They're saying this woman who strongly believes, as strongly as any religious person believes, that taking up arms is immoral, that's not good enough. She has to be a part of a club. She has to be a part of a religion club that so everybody can buy this. Well, I'm not buying it.
She has to be labeled.
Right. And the Freedom from Religion Foundation actually sent a letter to her saying that it's illegal and unconstitutional. Of course, in the Constitution, the rights of becoming a citizen have nothing to do with being a member of a religion. Right? And, if you're born here in this country, then you're a citizen. Or if you're naturalized, and through the process of naturalization, legal immigration, there's nothing in that law, and nor could there be anything in the law to compel someone to be an adherent to a religion. This is just obscene. It's un-American to be doing this. And I had to bring this story up.
Yeah, this is just another one of the ways that they're trying to pressure everyday people. It's ridiculous. And they're like, join a group that proves that, you feel the way you feel. Right. I just told you how I feel. I just told you I've been living this way for 60 years. Come on. And they're still saying, oh, well, you've got to prove it.
I think that this could actually have a tangent that's somewhat related to marijuana.
Prove that you don't like hurting people.
And I think the tangent would be this. There's a Religious Freedom Restoration Act in America that allows certain native tribes and certain religious adherents to use Schedule I substances. So far, they're allowed to use ayahuasca and they're allowed to use peyote. But religious adherents to Rastafarianism or Coptic Christianity are not allowed to use cannabis because of the simple argument that cannabis is so popular that if we let you use it for religion, suddenly everyone would be religious. That's kind of the theme of the argument that comes down from our courts. So the tangent I would see is, gosh, we can't just let this woman claim she's a conscientious objector, because then anybody who wants to be a citizen would just claim they're a conscientious objector if they don't want to fight. Well, okay, why is that a problem? I refuse to understand why you have to be a member of some club, of some group, before your religious beliefs, before your spiritual and ethical and moral beliefs are taken seriously in this country.
Yeah, I was taught.
Oh, let him bring in the beat.
Liebermater.
You gotta watch her. She's a tricky one.
See, she did it again. She jumped right past our scheduled break and jumped into an ad. So,
all right.
And Cascadia concentrates among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
Let him bring in the beat.
Let's remix it.
All right. Are we back yet? I'm not sure if I'm being heard right now or not.
Yeah, you're here there, Russ.
All right, cool. So getting updates from Gothic Prophet in the chat room, who's telling me that her citizenship was approved. They gave up on the trying to force her to be some religion, and they've now gone ahead and approved her citizenship. Well, that's good news. I'm glad to hear that.
Excellent. Oh, Liebermater's acting all funny. I think she's just anxious to get to our 420 break, but she skipped it.
Maybe so. That's all right. We can have some bed music. That's cool. We've only got a few minutes here before 420, but yeah, that story on Dowdy, though, I tell you, there's so many things, so many weird things with respect to religion sometimes in this country. I was reading another story out of Oklahoma, and it's a pastor, a Christian pastor, who is suing the state of Oklahoma because of the design of its license plates. Now, we've had these before where, like, somebody will try to get, like, in Nebraska, they had a story of a guy trying to get NE 420 as the vanity plate, Nebraska 420, and he had to go through a lot of trouble, and he finally got it for First Amendment rights and all that. But in Oklahoma, the suit is actually against the design of the plate itself, not the letters that are on it. And what it is the design of the Oklahoma plate has a Native American with a bow firing an arrow into the air. Okay, well, it's Oklahoma, right? It's where all the reservations are, native pride, all of that, right? What's the controversy here? Well, this Christian pastor has a problem with it because he believes the symbolism of the Native American shooting the arrow into the air represents pagan worship, and that he is being forced to approve of pagan worship on his license plate.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering if he's ever gotten one of those Tootsie Roll Pops. You ever seen the wrapper on a Tootsie Roll Pop's got the Indian shooting the star with a bow?
You used to be able to get a free Tootsie Pop if you got it with the whole Indian shooting the star. You get a free Tootsie Pop.
Yeah. Pagans. Gothic Prophet's update on the chat room. Congressman Blake Farenthold, Republican of Texas, took action on this, and his office sent Doughty a wonderful response earlier today. The service hereby withdraws the request for evidence issued on June 7th. The service accepts your detailed statement. In satisfaction of the information requested, your application for naturalization has been approved. Congratulations, Margaret. Welcome to the United States, as a citizen, that is.
You've been here for 60 or 30-some years.
30 years,
so welcome, finally. Where's your fruit basket, damn it?
Oh, and just so we don't have any confusion, it's citizens who become naturalized if through the law they are drafted and then have to take up a weapon. That's what they're pledging to. Mm-hmm. Those of us who are born here in America, who are, born citizens, That doesn't apply unless you're a man 18 to 29 who signed up for selective service and been drafted.
You know, I think Lieber Mater finally got it right.
That is 420. My last 420 in Arizona, so I'm going to get baked. See you in a minute.
Woot.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Oh, and of course, then she jumps back to a break. Okay, let's go to another song.
Whoa, oh, Jaja, oh, Jaja, oh, Jaja. Jaja is my life, Jaja, Jaja is my right, Jaja. Jaja is my life, Jaja, Jaja is my right, Jaja. I would never give Jaja, cause I love Jaja so. Jaja is my life, Jaja, Jaja is my right, Jaja, Jaja is my.
Yeah, that's right there. Robert Emanuel and Rankin Simon with Jah Is My Light and version. It's kind of the stuff that you'll hear on Red Eyes Reggae Flashback every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. and the replay every Thursday, that's today, at 5 p.m. Pacific. So check that out after Toker Talk Radio today.
Looking forward to it. The Red Eyes Reggae Flashback, always getting nice and irie. Good stuff, man. All right, welcome back to Toker Talk Radio. Radical Russ here from Margarita Studios in Scottsdale, Arizona. And just updating you on the Effin' Normal tour. We've had all these problems with vehicles. It looks as though the tour is going to start in mid-July in Fallbrook. And that by then we'll be able to get the vehicle running and everything going. So that means this weekend I am headed to Richmond, California for the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in the Bay Area. I'll be flying out tomorrow afternoon. I don't get there till like Friday night. And the event is Saturday and Sunday. I have got vendor passes and I need volunteers. So if you want to help me out in Richmond, California, in the Bay Area, need help with rides and load in and load out and watching the desk and all that kind of stuff. And you'll get a little wristband. You'll get the vendor VIP wristband, which gets you in just about everywhere.
So worth it.
It's so worth it. So if you can help me out and you're in the Bay Area, let me know. You can contact me through Facebook at Radical Russ on Facebook. And we will see what we can work out. That'd be cool. Oh, although I think Facebook now has that thing where, like, if you're not a friend, you have to pay to mail someone. So don't do that. Just email me. Russ@radicalruss.com will be fine. If you just want to do the traditional email. I could use some help, use some friends. Now, I know there's a lot of folks going. Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel will be there. Ganja John will be down there with, I think Ganja Wife's coming too. So there'll be a lot of folks to see there. But
now Jesse James from Jesse James Gardens will be down there.
That's right, Jesse James Gardens. So have a lot of friends down there. I could use some help at the booth, though. Hope to see you there.
And also, Russ need couch. Russ need ride.
Got that figured out. The couch is actually taken care of.
Oh, Russ no need couch.
My fired up lawyer who lives in San Francisco on the beach will be out of town that weekend. And she said, well, I'll just leave the key for you. You can stay in my house. And I said,
yet another reason everybody needs a fired up lawyer.
And I said, okay, that's awesome. So looking forward to that. Also I'm in negotiations right now talking with the people at High Times Magazine as far as becoming sponsors for the Effin' Normal tour. So we're going to work something out there. We'll bring them video content and such. So I'll let you know how that turns out. In the meantime, we are just hanging out here in Scottsdale, hanging out in the chat room where we got a lot of great chatters joining us as well. Gothic Prophets out there, Speed Limit, Jam Band Fan, Randy Brush, Cosp 420, and Bago Schwago, all hanging out there. So glad to see you here.
Yep, and of course some of our regulars, Solar Bowler, Run Around, Tie Stick, Trickster, and Libra, all of our good friends out there.
Yes. Speaking of good friends, hope you enjoyed the video played earlier with Cheryl Schumann on the headline news. And I want to address some stuff because, I know I'm not ignorant. I'm not naive. I know there's people out there that don't like Cheryl as much as I do. And some of it comes, I see some of the comments that say, oh, really good at self-promotion, really good at self-promotion. It's hard for me to comment on that when I'm running the Russ Belville show. Okay. So I don't see it as self-promotion. I see it as promoting the movement and oneself. I mean, am I self-promoting? Hell yeah, I'm self-promoting. I got bills to pay. Of course I'm going to promote myself.
And I kind of see it as helping brand, the movement a little bit. It's like you see this face, he's associated with the movement,
Right.
in one way or another. You see her face, she's involved with the business side of it, the more classy side of the Beverly Hills upper class, the moms and the businesswomen and, the people who are stockholders and, not like me who wouldn't know a stock portfolio if he was, sitting on it. But, well, I probably would, but I'm just giving myself less credit than I deserve.
Well, it is a certain thing of, and I think I understand what is off-putting to some people. And part of it is like Hollywood and Los Angeles is a different world. And that's the world she operates in. And in that world, if you're not constantly self-promoting, you don't exist. I mean, it's such a superficial and moment, of the moment kind of world that for people that are outside of that are in, just middle America or just, day-to-day life can I think interpret that as being aloof or, condescending or anything like that. And I don't think it is that at all. I think it's just a different world. All I can say though is, look at the results. Look at these videos that we've gotten out from her and, Ricky Lake and Headline News and, the CBS in LA and all these different outlets.
And I heard she was on Whoopi earlier today.
Yeah. On The View or?
Yes. Live on The View.
Oh, I did not know she was on The View.
Yeah,
that's
that
awesome.
Was posted on her page earlier today. But,
and it's those kind of presentations that are reaching out to the mainstream out there in a way that I'll never be able to do. I'll never be able to reach out to mainstream soccer mom like she can. Yeah, and it's people like here. Cheryl. It's people like Robert Platshorn with the senior tour, reaching out to the seniors. It's people like Neil Franklin from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, reaching out to the law enforcement community. These are some of our top allies, I think.
Yeah. Just like you said, the soccer moms aren't going to listen to somebody that looks like this,
Yeah.
They are likely to listen to somebody who looks like Cheryl. Even though I can talk the talk, my appearance usually throws people off. Like if I have a conversation with somebody over the phone and they don't see me, they totally have the different impression of me when they finally meet me. It has happened.
All right, and Run Around in the chat room saying you should get her to do your marketing. It's a thought, believe me. I think she's got some bigger fish to fry at the moment, but
we've spoken with her briefly about such things. But.
Yeah, let's just say that the people in high places have not forgotten about us. We will be taken care of. Things will work out well. We just have to wait for all of the chips to land before we can see what we're betting with.
Hey, I'm waiting for them chips and the salsa to land, buddy.
Hell yeah. We want to get this to the point where we've got travel budget. We can get Brian on these trips as well, because I tell you, it's a lot easier when I got somebody helping out with this stuff.
Well, this equipment, it's fickle. And it doesn't always like to work, especially when it's on the road. And anybody who's built computers can tell you that computers are like a cross between a girlfriend and a small kitten. They have a personality, and you must be gentle with them.
Yeah, I need another. I know another investment I need to make here is into some DV cameras, digital video, because the USB cams. I don't know if you've noticed the past couple of weeks, I haven't even been using them.
Yeah,
every time I try to use these USB cams, there's always they freeze up, they go away, they lock up. So
that could also be the USB ports. That laptop's pretty fried. If anybody's got a nice i5 or i7 laptop that they can just donate, that would be much appreciated.
Yes, that would work so well.
Because then the mobile
for
studio could actually remote in at the same speed of the home studio, and there wouldn't be any.
That would be very nice, let me tell you. But we are getting a lot of good support from people. A lot of people reaching out and helping us out.
You know, and thanks to all those people. Forever,
yeah.
Forever
if you can become a member of 420 Radio, it's just $4.20 a month. I know it doesn't seem like much, but as these build up and every month that 420 comes in, it helps us more than you can know. In fact, it's helped me be able to deal with the emergency situation of having to stay in this room for an extra 4 days. Let me tell you, not what I was expecting.
I bet, you know. So,
you know, let's see. Bago Schwago was asking me, how's the heat treating you?
Oh, please.
Good Lord, man. It's 109 degrees out. I don't even go outside.
The heat is no treat, buddy.
I don't even like, the most outside I have been has been to walk across the street to the store and back.
See, and you thought that big bright ball in the sky scared you when you were here in Portland.
Good Lord,
Holy
it's oppressive.
It's a whipping
it's the kind of thing where they've got a hot tub here at this resort.
Yeah, which I think is hilarious.
It's huge too. It'll fit 30 people. It's like a small swimming pool, this hot tub. But even at a hot tub, when you get in it, it doesn't feel hot because it's so much hotter outside the hot tub. Like the hot tub's probably at what, 104, 103? The outside temperature's 109. It's insane. How do people live here? It's ridiculous.
They live there very sweatily.
Sweatily, I guess. All right, so we are looking to get into the Bay Area this weekend. It's going to be a good time at the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup. We'll try to bring you some audio from that video next week as well. Stick around. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're hanging out, chilling as best we can in Arizona.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Have you ever seen a news story like this?
You know, when shit hits the fan, I never really thought about it before, but, you know, it's kind of sudden and violent, and that's kind of what happened this week.
What about the children?
But, I just want to say fuck you guys very much for judging me. For using a plant to do whatever. It's none of your damn business. I don't ask you why you drink your face off. Okay? But the deal is, I harmed no child.
Your one-room schoolhouse of choice. Your one-stop freedom shop. It's the Libra Lounge.
And remember, kids, as always, do your fucking homework.
Let me run with you tonight. I'll take you on a moonlight ride. There's someone I used to see, but she don't give a damn for me. Well, let me get to the point. Let's roll another joint and turn the radio loud. I'm too alone to be proud, and you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels to smoke weed.
Yeah, Petty Blazed.
Oh, yeah.
She said,
remember when that song came out and they had the alternate version? Let's get to the point. Let's
roll another joint.
Well, but it wasn't roll. They said
smoke.
something else. No, it's let's hit another joint.
Like let's hit another joint. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're going to a juke joint, right?
Oh, yeah, let's hit another joint. Yeah, like we're going to another place. Pretty funny how they tried to play it off. Nah, they was smoking the reefers.
There's no doubt about it. They was smoking the reefers. Hey, I wanted to make mention of very special guest next week. A week from today, Neil Franklin, the Executive Director of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, will be our guest here on the Russ Belville Show in Hour 1. So want to make sure that you mark your calendars for that because Neil is awesome.
That is going to be great.
Also coming up next week, shows once again from Portland. We'll be live and direct from Roll the Tide Studios. Woo-hoo! Gonna be good stuff.
We get our Russ back.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Ray, I think it was Ray Crystal on Facebook was saying, can't wait for Russ to get back, so we can get our
So we won't have
viewership.
a show on Monday, but I will have a new Viper Hour on Monday because my train gets in at like 3:30. So
the new Viper Hour, excellent.
Of course, I'm headed back to nothing. I have no house.
Yes, he has a storage unit.
Yeah, that house is still there. It's just completely empty.
Well, not completely empty, but pretty damn close.
I thought all the junk guys were coming this week to take the rest of the stuff away. So
I don't know. You've probably talked to Iva more recently than me.
Probably. But yeah, so I'll have I don't know where I'm going to be sleeping this week, but I will definitely be in town next week doing more of our shows. Thank you for joining us on them. Really appreciate that. All right, let me get back to some news stuff that I had to talk about because that story out of Michigan, the first one that I told you about the two guys, right? Tony and Al. Yeah. Tony's a patient. He can have 2.5 ounces. Al's a patient. He can have 2.5 ounces. But Tony and Al cannot trade it with each other. This is the crazy ruling. And in Michigan, the case that came down was, what was the name of that case? Let me find that really quick. Oh, yeah, People v. Kolinek and People v. King. And what those cases were about didn't have to do with, directly with one guy handing a joint to another guy. What it had to do with is people creating dispensary models in Michigan. Once the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act passed, people started setting up storefronts like they tend to do in most of these medical marijuana states, and they try to find some sort of legal justification for what they're doing. And in the case of the dispensaries, they were trying to say, well, it's just, a patient and a caregiver. It's just a between patients kind of thing. The Michigan Supreme Court disagreed with this, and of course, a lot of this had to do with, law enforcement being upset about the proliferation of dispensaries, and they basically ruled that patient-to-patient transfers aren't legal. Oh, I'm sorry, I got the wrong case. That was Michigan v. McQueen. It's Michigan v. McQueen is the case, where they say that you can't transfer from one patient to another. Now, in Oregon, this isn't a problem. In Oregon, our law specifically says one patient can transfer to another patient as long as there's no remuneration, as long as they're not paying them for it.
And also the caregiver and grower have the same protections.
And in that situation, you can reimburse for the expenses. Now, that's a gray area that has its own problems, but let's stick with Michigan.
But the transfer, we're just talking about the transfer. Our law protects for the patient, caregiver, and grower.
Right. So in Oregon, we've got that limit of 1.5 pounds, right? So I could have 1.5 pounds as a patient, and Brian, well, he's a patient. I can give him 1.5 pounds of that. I could give him a pound of it. I could give him an ounce of it. I give him a joint, whatever. The transfer's fine as long as it's patient to patient or card holder to card holder. But in Michigan, that's not the case. In Michigan, there's Section 4 of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, and I'll read the relevant part of this section for you. It says, this is the protections. Protections for the medical use of marijuana. A qualifying patient who's been issued and possesses a registry identification card shall not be subject to arrest, prosecution, or penalty in any manner, or denied any right or privileges for the medical use of marijuana in accordance with the Act, provided that the patient possesses an amount that does not exceed 2.5 ounces of marijuana. Okay. But in that, it's protecting the patient for his medical use. Now, where the court came down in Michigan is they said, okay, if you got 2.5 ounces of marijuana and you're using it and you're medical, then you're fine. But when you're handing marijuana to another patient, that's a transfer. And there's nothing in this section that says that patients are protected for the transfer of marijuana. They're only protected for their use of marijuana in that it helps them medically. And giving medical marijuana to someone else does not help you medically. Helps them, doesn't help you. So you have this stupid situation where a guy could have 2.5 ounces, he could take an ounce of that and smoke it, and if he gave an ounce to another guy, another patient, he's busted for transfer. But the patient who gets that other ounce is perfectly legal to have it and smoke it. So person A can have it and smoke it, person B can have it and smoke it, but person A cannot give it to person B. That is the stupidest thing of the day, okay. I gotta say.
Here we go. This is what's going to happen from now on. We're going to go and meet at somebody's house. I'm going to set something on the table, and then I'm going to leave.
I
didn't give anybody anything. I might have left something in the vicinity. The weed fairy just happened to show up and looked like me. It wasn't me.
Right. You have to have this. You have to play this wink, wink, nudge, nudge game. And I think.
Right. How's your father?
I think that's the part that bugs me so much about medical marijuana and so much about decrim and so much again about paraphernalia laws and all of these different things is the wink, wink, nudge, nudge game we have to play. These pipes are for tobacco use only. Wink, wink. You know,
yeah, the person would not have blown that glass pipe if he was not under the, if he did not experience cannabis.
But we have to wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No, this glass we're buying is for tobacco use only. And we have to wink, wink, nudge, nudge that, oh, no, I'm a medical user. And for a lot of people, that's not a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's an actual true thing.
Yeah,
but there's some for whom it is. There's some people who are cheating to get through the loopholes. It's tough, inevitable.
Pretty tough in Oregon. A lot tougher other places, but
it happens.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
But it happens. And the wink, wink, nudge, nudge we got to play even this weekend when we go to the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in Richmond. We have to pretend that's medical.
Yeah, and there's still no smoking out in public.
But really, it's a pot party. It's a cannabis cup. It's a celebration of cannabis. It's a judging contest for, it's like a dog show.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of cannabis.
And we can make all sorts of excuses about, well, patients need to have social outlets and recreational outlets and be able to gather together. They got to have somewhere to learn about different strains and to sample different. Yeah, we can make all those arguments, but the more we make those arguments, the sillier it sounds to the mainstream who look at people smoking 12-foot vapor bags or, yard-long joints.
Guilty.
And think that's not medical.
Yeah. It really, it's hard to look at it as medical when you see people obviously having so much fun and recreating with it.
Yeah.
You know,
now,
and
if it's just a cannabis cup, if it's a pot party, then go right ahead. Then it all makes perfect sense, and I completely think it's a great thing. But when I'm going to these cannabis cups and I'm appearing at these medical cannabis cups, to me, I'm appearing for 80% of that. When it says High Times Medical Cannabis Cup, I believe 80% of that phrase.
Yeah.
I believe the High Times part. I believe the Cannabis Cup part. The medical is just what they call the law that allows us to have our party. That's what's going on for me.
Indeed, indeed. We're going to take a little bit break real quick, and then we'll be back to finish out the show here on Toker Talk Radio, 420radio.org.
Spirit of man, rotted brave. It takes its toll on us all. You aspirate in the sky, question the answers deep implied. It's not punishment, they cry. I see humanity's disease. I doubt there's anything left. Anything left was saved. I know it's not alone. We're all just ripping what's been sown. You won't find God's law in the devil's hand. You don't get mercy from a desperate man. You won't find God's law in the devil's hand. You don't get mercy from a desperate man. It's the curse of all mankind. You wanna take this drive to die, so not just stand alone. Confessional is absolute, but still we can't accept the truth. As it stands to reason, I see humanity's disease. I doubt there's anything left. Anything left was saved.
Yeah, that is Kingdom of Sorrow, God's Law in the Devil's Land. That's kind of stuff you hear on Herb Thrasher Flower Hour every Friday night here on 420radio.org.
But only if you have it turned up to 11.
Oh, you gotta have it up to 11, man, and you gotta know how to rock!
All right, I wanted to get to a couple of stories also from Huffington Post and some other places here that caught my interest. And this is another story. Boy, we're 2 for 2 now. Stories that have nothing to do with marijuana. But I got to get this story out. This is out of Central Texas, a place called Liberty Hill, Texas. And it's another one of these cops shooting dogs cases. Okay, so check this one out. All right, so this is from Liberty Hill, right? And it begins like this. Vinny is a German Shepherd with a bullet wound on the back of his neck. On Monday, a Leander police officer shot Vinny when he says the dog and another German Shepherd came running at him while trying to serve a warrant. Said Lieutenant Darrell Parton, a spokesperson for the Leander police, quote, he said they were growling and closing distance very quickly, end quote. All right, so another case where a cop goes to serve a warrant and dogs approach, as dogs will do when someone comes upon their territory. And the cop's first reaction is to shoot the dog. Now, first of all, dog was shot in the back of the neck, so it's kind of hard to understand how a dog approaching you being vicious could get shot in the back of the neck. That's kind of interesting. But the most interesting part of this was the warrant. Now, I've brought you these cases before, and in these situations, it's a drug warrant, right? Oh, somebody's got weed. We got to catch someone with weed. You know those weed people, how dangerous they are. We got to break in with the guns blazing and the body armor and the flashbang grenades and shoot their dogs because, you know, these weed people, these weed growers, they got pit bulls and they'll attack us and, you know, we got to be careful, right? That's usually what I'm bringing you here. Check this out. The warrant in this case was a warrant for a man named Bradley Neal Simpson, who was wanted for expired vehicle registration. That's right. Expired tags on the license plate of your car is now worthy of sending police with a warrant to come and shoot your dog. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, the address on the warrant was for Cedar Park, Texas, not Liberty Hill, Texas. The guy didn't just get the wrong address, the cop was in the wrong city. So a cop serves a warrant for an expired tag in the wrong city and ends up shooting the dog. Now, the dog is alive. The dog is in decent condition. The owners, Renata and Chris Simmons, say Vinny has never acted aggressively. Quote, the dog wasn't after him. This dog was just running up and going, hey, what are you doing? And they have a right to do that. This is my yard. This man should not have even been there. He could have killed my husband's best friend, end quote. Vinny and the other dog the other dog wasn't hit. Vinny is recovering. Was struck in the back of the neck, but it could have been worse. As these dogs were approaching and the cop was shooting them in the side yard, just around the corner was their grandchild playing with the dog, a 6-year-old terminally ill grandchild playing around the corner. And the cop is going out there and shooting bullets around in the yard where there's a 6-year-old. Now, of course, the police say this is just procedure. Leander police say the officer never noticed the child, and it's policy to use lethal force on any animal they think is attacking. And so they've got a nonprofit organization, Georgetown Animal Outreach, is paying for Vinny's vet bills. The cop who shot the dog is still on active duty, and the case is under administrative review, and they're evaluating whether or not to change current tactics. The police are saying it's an unfortunate incident. No officer wakes up and gets dressed and goes to work and wants to kill someone's dog. I beg to differ on some of those drug SWAT task forces, but okay. All right, so let's just see how this case would have played out if it were someone accidentally shooting a police dog. Oh, we know how that would turn out. That's killing an officer. You could do serious felony time for that. But the cop that shot this dog in the wrong city off of a warrant for a completely different person for merely not paying their license fee registration for their car tags is worthy of shooting a dog. Gosh, if only there were some way we could have, say, some training or a program for federal employees and state employees who might have common day-to-day interactions with people and their canines. You know, some sort of training program that might teach them that difference between an aggressive and threatening dog versus a happy and curious dog. Some sort of training that might show them how to use certain non-lethal techniques to distract the dog or to remove the threat of the dog. If only we had some sort of federal service, some sort of public service where, oh, wait a minute, I remember. The Postal Service. Yes, the Postal Service, the United States Postal Service, which trains its thousands and thousands of letter carriers every quarter on how to deal with dogs, on how to recognize canine behavior, and how to use non-violent techniques to avoid dealing with the canine. If it's good enough for Mr. McFeely, the letter carrier, why is it not good enough for the police? I'll tell you why. Because Mr. McFeely's job doesn't involve trying to scare the shit out of you to get you to comply. The cop's job is full of this little psychological operation called shock and awe. It's this way of letting the perps know that the cop is completely in control and has the power over life and death itself. Yeah, it's a really, really great way of getting this to work like this. So, that is, that's the story coming out of Central Texas here, and pretty sad here.
It's like really the wrong frickin' city even.
Yeah.
Not just, it's like, what, were they in the same county?
Same county, yeah. Let me give you the link. Now, apparently the guy had used to live in the previous city, and there's the link for the folks in the chat room, by the way. And then Big Daddy Fink in the chat room is telling us that in Woodstock, Georgia, a K-9 unit was left in a hot patrol car and died from his cop handler. My goodness. I wonder if there's any charges involved in that.
Boo. Yeah.
This is just
I hope there's
sad.
some charges involved in that.
Yeah. This is just sad. And, you know, I've had a problem for a long time with the way cops treat dogs and use dogs, right? The use of dogs to intimidate and threaten people, you know, has a long and inglorious history in our country. And to me, it just betrays the nature of man and dog, right? It's like we evolved with dogs, you know, to use them as hunting animals, herding animals, guard animals, companion animals. But once we started using them as instruments of law enforcement against people, I had a big problem with it. For one, I like in our 6th Amendment how it says we have a right to confront our accuser, right? If someone says, Russ, you're a thief, I have the right in court to confront that guy and cross-examine him and ask him his evidence and all these kind of things. But in court, when I'm accused by a drug dog of having the smell of marijuana in the trunk of my car, how do I confront my accuser? How do I put the dog on the stand? I can't. And our law enforcement agencies and our society in general has accepted this idea that somehow drug sniffing dogs are scientific instruments. They're scientific instruments that we use. They're not scientific instruments. The number one thing in a dog's motivation is to please a human. It's human handler, it's human trainer. The whole coevolution with us, the convergent evolution we had to do with wolves hanging around the campfires. And slowly but surely the wolves that were less afraid of humans and were more able to interact with humans are the ones that evolved to become the dogs we have today. And Gothic Prophet's right. We selectively bred them. Exactly. But again, we selectively bred them to help us. And as much as we helped their development, they helped our development in agriculture and farming and ranching and so forth. So to me, it violates that kind of, God, I don't know, thousands and 10,000s of years bond between dog and human to use dogs against humans, to use them to attack humans, to use them to try to convict and hurt humans. I know maybe I'm rambling a little silly here, but it's just something that good point, but I sound stoned. I wish. I'm not stoned. That's the problem, Jesse. I'm not stoned. But yeah, this is the point I'm trying to make here, is that we should not think of dogs as scientific instruments of law enforcement. Now, they can be useful for law enforcement for, you know, sniffing out drugs, for sniffing out bombs and those kind of things. But we can't rely on them with scientific integrity. We've seen too many studies where dogs will just react to what their handlers want them to react to. There was a study that showed they took all these dogs and their handlers, and they ran them through 4 rooms that had a flag and pot, had a flag and no pot, had pot but no flag, and had neither a flag nor pot. And they found that in the rooms that had a flag that was supposed to signify there was pot there, the dogs were more likely to alert whether or not there was actually pot in the room, because their handlers give off subconscious cues that these dogs pick up on and want to please them. I could go all day on dog handling stuff, but that's all the time we got. So this is it for Hour 2. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for Red Eyes Reggae Flashback coming up next. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you